Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great week so far. It has been a busy one for me, so I apologize for my lateness. As some of you might have already known, I have just recently moved to South Korea, which has been hectic and difficult all the way around. At first, I didn't have a place to stay because I was not approved for a dormitory. This has caused me to live in a church office for about 5 days, and another 2 days I had spent in finding a new place to live. I was able to finally find a small room just 5 minutes off campus, which had been a great blessing for me. So I'm still kind of still settling in and everything. I got my own room, and then I'm very happy about that. I was able to go to my very first class on Friday. Um, so that's kind of been what's been going on. But the good news is I'm finally settled. I'll finally be able to kind of just stay consistent with the schedule. So I really do hope that you guys will forgive me up for that. Okay, so basically I'm going to be talking about online education and what are the revolutions and what are the challenges and what to do about online education as far as assessment goes. Um, First of all, I have been pretty much a product of online education, so I can give a few of my experiences of the challenges and revolutions of online learning. The first thing that I can say is that online education is able to open education to a more diverse population compared to physically going to a university. Before, higher education was limited to only the wealthy or the lucky. Now, higher education can be attainable by the lower classes as well as to people who are considered too busy for a regular university. However, there are several challenges that come with the added opportunity. First of all, there's a lot more distractions for the online student. While a traditional student would be able to have the world understand their schedules, online education is not so forgiving, so deadlines are even harder to be met. That's kind of like my situation. At least that's my number one problem I've always faced with online education because basically I always had to try to meet the deadlines, but I also have other deadlines I also had to meet. So it's always a tug of war trying to get it to balance out. And usually people are not so understanding of the fact that I'm trying to do an online education, but it's manageable. When it's just all about scheduling and everything like that. It's just if you don't have good educational skills, it's not good. So the main revolutions is the fact is that it opens doors. It actually finally gives the education that people need. Before people, just like if you didn't live in the area, you can't get an education. That has changed now. So it doesn't matter how busy a person is, it doesn't matter who they are, they can actually have an online education. And I am definitely for that. Um, the challenges is the deadlines, and then assessment can be quite difficult because normally with traditional education, a teacher will go ahead and give them the information, and then they do assessment, not just tests, but other things as well, such as how well did they do in class, how well did they work together with other students and such. But with assessment, most of the time, assessment is usually multiple choice, usually, or discussion boards. And I have no problems with discussion boards. However, I actually found an article here that I'm going to read a little bit here because I thought it was quite interesting because I think it's quite fairly accurate as far as discussion boards are concerned. Give me a second. I think it's over here. Should be here. Yeah, here it is. I found it. Sorry, excuse me. It says discussion boards offer very little value to online courses. In a study by Tucker, they examined the social interactive constructs of online education. They found that discussion boards are worthless. The responses are generally brief and didn't reflect scholarly thought. Most of the time, the students did not really add to the topic. They also found that chat sessions to be worthless. Students that typed slow ended up going silent in the sessions or reported feeling left out of the conversation. When they compared discussion boards with face-to-face class discussions, they found that class discussions promoted student retention and learners perceived the instructors prompting an atmosphere of community. They also found that instructors in the face-to-face classes received higher student evaluations. So there is a lot more interaction within the classroom compared to an online forum. Um, when I was a Korean language student online, that was a situation that I was faced with because basically um, you have to speak Korean if you're going to learn Korean. But when you're online, basically you're listening to the teacher speak, and then the box on the corner will light up if someone is speaking. There's no way that two people can speak at the same time, so it's always taking turns, taking turns, taking turns, taking turns. And because of the structure of the online course, usually what happens is that you get at least one student that fell behind, which is me, and I couldn't really interact, and I felt very, very frustrated with the course, which was one of the reasons why I decided to go to a university to learn Korean. That's kind of the reason why I'm here in South Korea. So I'm actually an actual university student learning Korean. Um, so those are the main two things that they use for evaluations. Um, they have their goods and they have their bads. I think the best way with discussion boards is just to make sure that first of all, they have to be scholarly, which Liberty University does. I never felt like my discussion boards ever suffered. I always did research with my discussion boards, so I never had any complaints with that. It's just that sometimes they can be a little too brief, and usually people only give one answer responses, and I kind of fall into that category sometimes. So learning is limited. Um, that's the only thing I can say about the discussion boards. Multiple choice is tricky because most of the time it's actually better to go ahead and write out the responses because then you're actually interacting with the material that you just learned. Multiple choice is more like pick and choose. So even if you didn't study, if you think it's like, well, that one sort of looks like it could be right, does that actually mean that you've actually learned the material? Most of the time it does not. Yet people are making good grades just because of the fact they're good guessers. So it's just my own little spiel about multiple choice. How should learners be assessed? I think the best way is kind of what they said here in this article here. I am going to reference this article on this blog post, so that way you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But learners should be assessed in several ways. As far as multiple choices, they have to be timed and timed very short. In other words, they cannot just look up the information. They have to actually kind of be able to do recall. Second of all, they also need to have essay questions that have a time limit in which they type out their answers to the best of their ability. Timed is better because of the fact that chances of them looking up the information is much more minimal. Let's just hope they don't use Google. Anyways, right down here in this particular article, as far as improvements in online education, it says, hold on a second, I gotta find it real quick, I'm sorry. It says here, institutions must have a teaching plan and a reliable technical delivery system, which how do I say, a reliable delivery system and a reliable technical I'm sorry, I'm not real good with cameras. I try my best. So it says I found that students are frustrated when there is technical difficulty issues. Student frustration is important because frustration is correlated to student success. There should be a centralized tech system in a place that both students and faculty may rely on. It says instructor evaluation should be based on the syllabi, the lectures, the assignments, the materials used to enhance the course, the assessment methods used in the course, and samples of the students' works that have been graded by the professor. That's for instructor evaluation, is what it says here, but you can also use this for student evaluation. The evaluation should be based on the syllabus, but it should also be based on the grading rubric. If it fits the grading rubric, then that is the best way to assess whether they have learned the material. And also based on the lectures on how well they listen to the lectures and how well they keep up with the details and stuff like that. Because it's basically with an online environment, it's more like you listen and you learn and take in as much as you can. So if they can be able to not only recall but also apply the information, that shows that they have learned the material. So down here it says students should make the strongest effort in an online class. Um, Online education is for self-learners. They have to be self-motivated and they have to operate as such. Students must take online education seriously and apply themselves accordingly. Students must realize that they will not benefit from the least amount of work possible. Research shows that better note-taking in class results in better grades. Unfortunately, it is found more and more that students prefer courses that require the least amount of effort and time. Student effort was found to be the best indicator of success in online education. So the entire online environment is weakened when a professor's time is consumed by students who do not put forth the proper effort to succeed. So to recap, how should learners be assessed? Number one, they have to actually take the information that they have learned and apply it to the online platform, such as discussion boards. I'm not against discussion boards. They just should be very much structured. So there has to be learners that are willing to put in the research, and when they type out their information, it has to be research based. Second of all, they have to be assessed by how well they work together as a team with other classmates and such. And number three, how well do they remember the information with the shortest amount of time, with the time frame that is put on there. Like for example, 1 minute for each question. That would be the best way as far as multiple choice goes. And they should also be assessed on how well they apply that knowledge um, uh, with research papers and such like that, and how well they write out their papers. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sorry if this is a very long video. I'm trying to being able to go ahead and give this information, and I'm trying to make sure I go to church at the same time. So I will be checking soon, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and God bless.